Across the South Coast, live from Solent University, you're listening to Solent Sports News.
Welcome to Solent Sports News. It's 4 o'clock and I'm Sid, your host for the day. To give you a quick roundup, earlier this morning, Southampton FC manager was sacked by the club following the team's poor run of form this season. The club has released a statement saying, "We now believe it's an appropriate time to make a change."
You're looking for consistency over time and an improvement, and clearly I think seeing the club drop into the bottom three hasn't helped his cause, and the timing as well, and the fact that he's been in the job for almost 4 years now. You know, there's been some good things, but there's been some real heavy defeats.
Southampton are moving quickly to find a replacement of coach Ralph. The Premier League strugglers sacked their boss the day after losing 4-1 to Newcastle, and Luton manager Nathan Jones has been given permission to talk to them. To talk more about the story, we have got our reporter Ed Jones live at St Mary's Stadium to talk to some local fans about their views on the sacking. Ed?
Hello, Siddharth. Yes, We're here at St Mary's this evening. It's an important day for the club. Obviously, a lot of fans are here, but yeah, it's a big day for the club.
You know, I have taken a lot of decisions since I'm here. The good thing is, this one I don't have to take.
It's the end of an era at St Mary's as Ralph Hasenhüttl has parted company with Southampton after almost 4 years in charge.
Ralph Hasenhüttl is the master of getting himself out of sticky situations. They've had heavy defeats, we're talking 9-0 defeats, and they've gone on runs of 1 win in 12 at the end of last season. But he always manages to pull out a result, or pull out something that keeps him in the job. And he did that a few weeks ago. He got a win against Bournemouth and 2 draws against West Ham and Arsenal when the writing was fully on the wall. Everyone was convinced he was going to be sacked. Unfortunately, since then, it's back to the old ways. They've lost at Crystal Palace, lost at Newcastle.
The fans had mixed reviews about the departure of the Austrian manager.
It's a shame, really. He's wholeheartedly put his soul into the club, but I think it's time for a change. Not particularly shocked, to be fair. It was certainly coming, wasn't it? Poor run of form. Hopefully, new man and some better form along the way. Hopefully.
No sympathy for him at all. He's got a good payment. He's been whatever. He's in the Premiership. He's been there 4 or 5 years. So he would have got a payment, because plus they sacked him, they got to pay his contract up.
Ralph's been here 4 years now. I think when he started 4 years ago, I think it was good. There was a good buzz when he took over from the previous manager, Mark Hughes. And I think it's just in the last couple of seasons we've sold our good players and haven't replaced them.
Yes, but his time just didn't go as planned. He got the back in and didn't do well enough.
I think it was poor. I think it's been going on for a while now. I think they weren't playing as a team, and I think as much as I like Ralph Hasenhüttl, I think it was the right decision for him to move on and let somebody else take over. I think he's an absolutely great person. I think a lot of the people really liked him. He was passionate about the club, and I wish him all the best for whatever he does in the future.
With the Saints currently sat 18th in the Premier League table, there is genuine concern about relegation to the second tier.
Yeah, they have to stay. If you lose the Premiership status now, it's harder to get out of that Championship. And the money's not there, and it's dangerous.
It's been reported that Luton Town have granted Southampton permission to speak to their manager Nathan Jones.
Thank you, Ed, for your report. For some more football stories now. Liverpool defeated Spurs 2-0 last night. Aston Villa defeated Man United 3-1. Erik ten Hag described Manchester United's performance in their 3-1 defeat to Aston Villa as not acceptable and questioned the tactics, decision and attitude of his players on a day that Cristiano Ronaldo captained the team for the first time under him. The much-anticipated UCL draw has been announced. Fans say that this is one of the best last 16 draws seen in a long while, with some cracking games coming up, with matchups like Manchester vs Leipzig and Liverpool vs Real Madrid. The Europa League draws has also been announced, as we have top teams locking horns in Barcelona vs Manchester United and Juventus vs Nantes. With the NBA back in full force and superstars like Stephen Curry and Luka Doncic grabbing the headlines, Max Timms went to investigate for us how the sport has been growing in the UK.
The offensive rebound.
Posey will defend. Oh! LeBron James with no regard for human life. Lillard, long-range three, and it's good at the buzzer!
Those were just some of the few iconic moments that have occurred in the NBA over the past few years. The NBA is the pinnacle for every hopeful basketball player, which for players in Britain might seem to be unrealistic. But for many all over the world who cannot make it into the league, Britain provides a new hope for them in the form of the British Basketball League. Texas-born Drew Lasker came over to the UK to play basketball and won 2 BBL titles. He outlines his surprise at the level of play.
Well, firstly, I thought, I'm coming over to England to play basketball, so I'm going to dominate because surely they won't be as good as Americans. And so my eyes were kind of open because the talent level was a lot better than what I expected.
While the BBL doesn't pull in huge figures, the interest has certainly been raised and is rising every year. Lasker puts this down to the effect of the media.
Everything around the sport is better. Obviously, it's covered on Sky every week. There's so much more media now. There was none of that. I mean, obviously, the addition of social media, so the league has gotten more accessible. But now, like, everybody can watch the game on BBL Player and know what's happening in real time because of Twitter and Instagram.
Basketball has been growing rapidly in the UK, and now it's the second most played sport by children between the ages of 11 and 15. But there is still a lot of room for growth. The London Basketball Association is aiming to bring positive social change to the most disadvantaged communities through the sport of basketball, but it still needs more funding and donations to achieve their goal.
Tony Lazar from London Basketball Association. So there's a shortage, there's almost an epidemic, the lack of rocks, referees, officials, and coaches. How we're helping the game grow is, again, I'm just talking about one angle of it, but we've qualified more people, we're building the basketball workforce and trying to lay foundational pieces.
More locally, the success of the Solent Kestrels has meant an increase in tension on the sport at Solent University and the city. That was the side celebrating their National Cup win earlier this year. They have enjoyed great victories over the past seasons, with former coach Sylvain Donu being a major factor. He, like many others, has seen the growth but thinks the UK is lagging behind other countries.
If we start having a bit more funding, yes, why not? Look at Germany. Germany developed so much in the last few years. I think we have the potential here in UK. You just need to have maybe a little bit more support.
While many argue that the quality of basketball in Britain is low compared to other countries, there are still some spectacular moments to be seen.
Oh, my goodness me! What a play!
Thank you, Max. Later in this week, we have got the T20 Cricket World Cup semi-finals coming up, with England taking on India and New Zealand taking on Pakistan, with the finals being played on Sunday in Melbourne. It will be interesting to see if we can have a much-anticipated India versus Pakistan final. To talk more about it, we have Anubhav Bajpai, a senior sports journalist, to speak on which teams have a better chance to get through.
Hey, Sid, hi. So, as you already mentioned, there's a lot of anticipation behind the India versus Pakistan game. As you know, Pakistan has always been one of the most dangerous teams, one of the most unpredictable teams in the world. And they are facing New Zealand, which is also one of the underliners in the world of cricket. But I would rate Pakistan as the favourite in this game. The reason being their bowling. They have actually bowled pretty well. And New Zealand has actually struggled when it comes to their batting. Kane Williamson, though he performed well in their last match, but he has an issue. And on the other hand, India versus England. India has been tremendous so far in this tournament. The only issue that I see with the Indian team is the opening pair. If England somehow manages to curtail Suryakumar Yadav and Virat Kohli, I think England could be one of the favourites for this tournament. On the other hand, even Pakistan are doing well, but another issue that I see with them is the opening pair, because their complete batting relies on the opening pair, but their opening pair somehow hasn't clicked so far. So I would give it a 50% chance of India versus Pakistan final, but I see it more as a New Zealand versus England final.
Thank you, Anubhav. Time for some tennis roundup now. Denmark teenager Holger Rune has stunned, defeating champion Novak Djokovic in the Paris Masters final to claim his first ATP Masters title. World number 1 Iga Swiatek is out of the season-ending WTA finals in Texas after a shock 3-set semi-final defeat by Ariana Sabalenka. Spain's world number 1 Carlos Alcaraz has been forced to pull out of the upcoming ATP finals and Davis Cup finals due to an injury. Some news from the world of combat sports now, as UFC 281 is set to happen on Sunday, November 13th. It has some of the biggest names of the organization on card. Our correspondent Arun Aditya has more on the story.
After the massive success of UFC 280, the next pay-per-view, UFC 281, promises to be an even bigger success, with the main event being a grudge match between middleweight champion Israel Adesanya and Alex Pereira. MMA writer and journalist Ashish talked about the history between them and gave his insight on the fight.
Alex Pereira has fought Adesanya before and he knocked him out cold, but this time it's not kickboxing, but it's an MMA bout and it's in Adesanya's territory. He's been in the UFC, he's been fighting in MMA way before Alex Pereira joined the scope. But as things go right now, Alex Pereira is becoming quite a favorite, especially because of his knockout abilities. But I do believe that Israel Adesanya will have an edge over Alex Pereira because this is not just kickboxing, this is MMA.
In spite of there being another title fight on the card, the fans are eagerly waiting for the battle in the lightweight division between Michael Chandler and Dustin Poirier. In conversation with a few fans, they gave their views on what fights they're looking forward to the most.
Well, I think it's an amazing card all around, but I'm most excited about Dustin Poirier versus Michael Chandler because I do think the winner of that fight will fight for the lightweight title next. The fight itself is very interesting because I think Dustin Poirier is the better striker. He's a more diverse striker. But Michael Chandler also has that crazy KO power, and he can, on his day, he can turn anyone's lights out.
UFC 281 is a very, very stacked card. But the fight I'm looking forward to the most is the main event, which is Adesanya versus Alex Pereira. And the reason I'm excited is because them two actually have a long history together.
With some of the biggest names in the organization fighting at UFC 281, it is surely to be watched around the world by the fans and might also break some pay-per-view record.
Thanks, Arun. Some more cricket news coming up right now. Sri Lanka cricket star Dhanusha Gunathalika has been charged over sexual assault allegations during the T20 World Cup in Australia. Gunathalika was arrested in early hours of Sydney morning at Sri Lanka's team hotel in Sydney after an alleged incident last week. The batsman has been charged 4 counts of sexual intercourse without consent, with police alleging he sexually assaulted a 29-year-old woman on Wednesday, November 2nd. Time for some more local sports news. Solent rugby women's team has won against Amesbury women on Sunday. Also, both under-19 men's and women's Solent Kettlers basketball team won their respective matches 96-52, 65-31 at the Under-19 National Cup. That's all from us for now. Thank you for tuning in. This is Sid signing off as we will be back tomorrow with more news from the world of sports. Remember, you can keep up to date on our website solentjournalism.co.uk.
Hey, Max. How you doing?
Hello?
Hey, sorry, I'm just getting some headphones on so we can all hear you at the same time. You can hear me though, yeah? Hey, Max. Cool. How you doing?
All good, thank you. How are you?
Is that me?
Hello? What's happening?
Hey, sorry, I'm just getting some headphones on so we can all hear you at the same time. Whoa.
You're like
It's
delayed. It's delayed.
We might have to come back and start it again.
Or we can do it after our news stories, like our TV bulletin.
Yeah, maybe we'll have
We
to